Hello and welcome to The Inquisitive Crafter. I'm Katrina Stewart from Crafty Jacks, and today I'm sharing with you about some of my recent makes. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, I have found the last 3 years, through all of the lockdowns and pandemic COVID shutdowns and all of that sort of stuff, to be incredibly challenged for my making. We experienced as a family several losses as well, which definitely had an impact on my mental health. So one of the things that really took a back seat for me over the last 3 years was my making. I just didn't find any joy in it. And I sort of pushed myself through it, and I would occasionally complete things, and I still wanted to have that feeling of making, but I just didn't have the same enthusiasm for it. And so it was with great pleasure, I would say, that through the last few months of 2022, I really felt some of that energy and that mojo coming back to me. And so I've actually completed a few projects, some of which I will share at future times. I've actually got a project on my loom right now, and it all feels really, really good to be getting back there. So this particular make is actually 2 skeins of handspun yarn. And these ones delight me to no end. So the story. These braids have actually been in my stash since about 2016, and I bought them with a very specific purpose. So they were originally from Three Waters Farm, and the braid was called Marin's Pencils. Now, when I was 18, a really good friend of mine that I'd had since kindergarten was killed in a car accident, and her name was Marin. Her favorite color was purple. She loved to draw. She loved art. She loved being she was just a really bright light. And to this day, I miss her. And so when I saw these braids that said Marin's Pencils, and they were bright colors and lots of purple, I just knew that I had to spin them and make something to sort of memorialize that friendship for me. And those braids sat in my stash for, 6 years? And it was because every time I pulled them out and I looked at them, nothing felt right. And I didn't want to spin them until I knew what my project was going to be. And so what I have decided to do with them is make a fabric and use that fabric to make myself a bag. And that will become my new project bag. And so I haven't quite decided if I'm going to use this one as warp and this one as weft, or if I'm going to use a commercial yarn for the warp and use one for the weft that will be on one side of the bag and one for the weft on the other side of the bag. Now, a little bit of details about these spins. As you can see, they look very, very different, even though they were spun from the same braids. And the reason is that this one is chain plied. So when we chain ply our yarns, we spin the braid end to end, and then we ply it back on itself. And that helps keep the colors in the color order that was in the braid and keeps the colors really, really bright. Now this one was a fractal spin, and what happens with a fractal is, in this instance, I broke my braid into 3 pieces, and I spun what was a 1-3-6 fractal. So when I say a 1-3-6, what I mean is the first section of braid I spun end to end without splitting the fiber any further. The second ply, I split that piece into 3 pieces. So what happens is each time you split the fiber vertically down the length of your braid, you effectively shorten the length of that color repeat that is made when you spin it. And then the final ply was split into 6 pieces. So again, that is shortened even more than the one in the second ply. And so what happens is you get some places where the colors line up and other places where the colors mix and marl. And that creates a really lovely fabric, and it really sort of breaks up those colors and gives you a really lovely finish. So that is this spin. And like I said, I've got a project on my loom right now, but I'm hoping that once that one is done, I'll get that one on the loom and start making my fabric. So I would love to hear from you. What would you do with this? Would you use the commercial yarn for the warp and then use those 2 for different sides and use that as the weft? Or would you use one for the warp and one for the weft? I'd love your thoughts. So I'm hoping that now that my mojo is back again and that I have a little bit more space in my brain for making, that you will see a few more of these making videos. If you have questions that you would like me to answer in some of our tutorial videos, please send those to ask@craftyjacks.ca and I will do my very best to do that for you. And if you have anything else that you would like, I love your comments, I love your likes. So thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.